Who are you guys going to be voting for?
I'm going for Kamala Harris.
What about you?
Trump.
Okay, so you want to vote for Donald Trump, she wants to vote for Kamala Harris. What makes you want to vote for Kamala Harris?
Because she'll be the first president, first black female president, and want to give her a chance. I think she can do it.
But when she says that, when she says, I want to give her a chance because she'll be the first female black president.
Yeah, I like that part, but our country doesn't need it just because she's the first of the first. We need somebody that's been in there and knows what they're doing. He's not a Pinocchio. Nobody's pulling the strings for him. He's more of a Geppetto. He says what he wants to do and does what he wants to do. That's why I like Trump. Mm-hmm. And he's done more help for the community that I was raised up in. You know, he's helped us with even the stimulus packages and all that. So that's why I'm more with Trump.
Okay, cool. And so it is a critical time right now. We have a lot of things going on in the world. We got World War III is on the brink,
Right.
and the border is a mess, and inflation is all-time high. Do you think that having a first female black president is the most important thing for America right now?
When you say that, I don't think so. I think I think Trump will get the job done. Because that's what he was working on when he was in there last time.
This is what happens when we put aside our egos and we actually open our minds. Now, if we listen to the facts, the choice is clear as to who should lead this nation for the next 4 years. But if you ask those at the top of the Democratic Party, that's not what we need right now. In fact, they have former President Barack Obama on the campaign trail right now to tell us that we're all wrong. Straight up gaslighting like they typically do, especially male voters who are being seen as supportive of Donald Trump. Watch.
And I've noticed this especially with some men who seem to think Trump's behavior is somehow a sign of strength. You know, sort of the macho, fake macho thing. And, you know, I'm here to tell you that's not what real strength is. It never has been. Real strength's about working hard. Real strength's about taking responsibility. Real strength is about telling the truth even when it's inconvenient. Real strength is about being confident enough to treat everybody with dignity and respect. Real strength is about helping people who need it and standing up for those who can't always stand up for themselves. That is what we should want in our daughters and our sons, and that is what I want to see in the next president of the United States of America.
Now, what is it about Donald Trump supporters that have politicians like Barack Obama so freaking pissed off? There's an anger there. I mean, you can feel it, right? Now, speaking of which, it looks like President Joe Biden himself is still pissed off about getting booted from this presidential race. Either that or he's thinking out way too loud. Now, I showed you guys a video of a Trump supporter convincing a Harris supporter about logic and facts. But if you ask President Joe Biden, Trump supporters are nothing but garbage. He actually said it out loud.
Or Puerto Rico, where I'm in my home state of Delaware, they're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. His demonization is seen as unconscionable, and it's un-American.
Wow. So President Joe Biden just called like 80 million Americans garbage. Now, part of me wishes that this was an AI, but it was actually real. It is so real that he had to clarify his statement. He or one of his aides went on X to say this, quote, "Earlier today, I referred to the hateful rhetoric about Puerto Rico spewed by Trump's supporter at his Madison Square Garden rally as garbage, which is the only word I can think of to describe it. His demonization of Latinos is unconscionable. That's all I meant to say. The comments at the rally don't reflect who we are as a nation," end quote. Now, obviously, this is what we call damage control. But if we go by the message that the Democratic Party is sending, his statement actually lines up perfectly. Remember that they called Donald Trump's rally in the Madison Square Garden as a Nazi rally? Something that Kamala Harris supported. Watch.
I talked with Governor Walz yesterday. He compared Trump's rally on Sunday to that of one of the Nazi rallies in the 30s at Madison Square Garden. Do you compare that? Do you find that a similar comparison?
Listen, this election is in 7 days, and I think the American people have a very clear choice. And on the one hand, you have Donald Trump, who is constantly fanning the flames of division and hate, who is trying to have the American people point their fingers at each other, or my leadership, which is founded on a lived and experience that the vast majority of us have more in common than what separates us.
Is she listening to what she's saying? They're saying that Donald Trump is the one who's creating division within the country. And yet, President Joe Biden is the one who's calling half the country garbage. And the same president who says that he and Kamala Harris worked hand in hand during his term. And notice that she didn't denounce what Governor Tim Walz said about Donald Trump's supporters, meaning that she herself believes that the Madison Square Garden rally was a Nazi rally. So who's really tearing the country apart here? I mean, as far as we've been told, Trump has been pushing to unite us all, to set aside politics and focus on making America great again. Here's a snippet of his speech from the rally. Watch.
After all we have been through together, we stand on the verge of the 4 greatest years in the history of the USA. With your help from now until Election Day, we will restore America's promise, we will put America first, and we will take back the nation that we all love. We bleed the same blood, we share the same home, and we salute the same great American flag. We are one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. We will never give in, we will never give up, we will never, ever back down, and we will never, ever, ever, ever surrender. Together we will fight, 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 and we will win, win, win. We're going to win, win, win. November 5th will be the most important day in the history of our country. And together we will make America powerful again. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America healthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again. Thank you, New York. God bless you. God bless you all. Thank you.
Does this really sound like somebody who wants to divide the country? Or is it somebody who genuinely loves his country? And you heard that crowd, guys. They're supporting Donald Trump all the way. Meanwhile, Kamala Harris holds a rally featuring Beyonce and she gets booed. The vice president recently delivered a speech in Washington, D.C. As expected, she talked more about Donald Trump than she did about the American people. Many believe that this is more than just TDS. This is legitimate obsession. They're all out of answers, and the only way to recover from these polls is to try and drag Donald Trump down, relying on talking points based on statements taken out of context. Watch.
Donald Trump intends to use the United States military against American citizens who simply disagree with him. People he calls, quote, the enemy from within. America, this is not a candidate for president who is thinking about how to make your life better. This is someone who is unstable, obsessed with revenge, consumed with grievance, and out for unchecked power. Donald Trump has spent a decade trying to keep the American people divided and afraid of each other. That is who he is. But America, I am here tonight to say that is not who we are. That is not who we are.
I wonder if Kamala Harris thinks about Donald Trump 24/7. And did she forget that the only time that we've seen power being used on a political rival has been in this presidential race? But not against them, but against Donald J. Trump. We all saw the cases that were all coincidentally filed against him in different states. It was like clockwork, but since those didn't stick, they're now left with hateful rhetoric. Kind of like calling Donald Trump supporters as garbage or labeling Trump as Adolf Hitler. Surprisingly, mainstream media is again questioning Kamala regarding this language. Watch.
You are promising to bring people together, even people you disagree with. You say, well, have a seat at the table. How do you convince Trump supporters of that, though, when you're calling their candidate a would-be dictator, a petty tyrant?
I am talking to everyone as an American.
You know, she was surprised by that question. It took her a second to fully just kind of contemplate what was happening. And her speech in DC was filled with all of this hate. They want to talk about uniting the country when they're portraying Trump as a dictator. But to make matters worse for her, she gave Donald Trump's team ammunition. Ammunition in the form of a possible ad. Now, we've heard this from her time and time again throughout the past few weeks. A plan that's supposed to help our country move forward. Now, what's weird is that they're unaware of how bad it's making the Biden-Harris administration look. Watch.
Imagine a future of possibilities. So, America, let us reach for that future. Let us fight for this beautiful country we love. And in 7 days, we have the power. Each of you has the power to turn the page and start writing the next chapter in the most extraordinary story ever told.
Is she campaigning for Trump here? Because let's not forget the obvious. She is the vice president of the United States. And as confirmed by President Joe Biden, everything that he has done was done with her at his side, which means that everything that we're going through was the effect or the after effect of their decisions. To turn the page would be to rid ourselves of these poor decisions that they made. To turn the page is to move on from this administration. This has confused a lot of voters. And again, I'm actually glad that journalists are now asking her this question over and over again. If you had such a great plan for the economy, why didn't you do it with Biden?
I think what some voters are struggling with, and we've heard this across the state, is when you discuss your plans, they come back and ask, well, why haven't you done it already?
Well, I'm not president.
You're vice president.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm going to tell you what I'm doing as president when I have the ability then to do what I know based on my experience is a new approach that is about building on the good work that has happened, but there's more to do. There's more to do.
I mean, what good work is she talking about here? The high cost of living, grocery prices, gas, rent? Like, what good work is she talking about here? And this sentiments the inconsistency with her own message. There is no way that she can explain her new approach without admitting that their term created, but things have changed. The support for her is dying down, and now she's getting challenged in swing states like Pennsylvania, a must-win for both presidential candidates. Watch.
I believe health care should be a right and not just a privilege of those who can afford it. On the other hand, Donald Trump's answer to financial pressures is for you to face the same deal. Here's the thing. Let me say something. We are 6 days out of an election. We are 6 days away from an election. And ours is about a fight for democracy and your right to be heard. That is what is on the line in this election. What is on the line in this election. Look, everybody has a right to be heard, but right now I am speaking.
Now, look at this, guys. She's getting better at handling the hecklers. It's probably because she's getting a lot more practice. Although she's letting that anger out just a little bit too much here. The joy in her campaign is all gone now. Now, if you compared it to just a couple of weeks ago where every rally was a cackle fest, these days she's getting booed in her own rallies multiple times. This is something that mainstream media is completely aware of, and it's probably why she's getting asked these tough questions instead of all the softball ones that she used to get.
What's your message to Michigan voters in terms of the economy? We have auto workers who are being laid off and those who fear that they might be laid off. The average person can't afford groceries or their rent. And recent polls in Michigan show that Michigan voters believe that Donald Trump would do a better job with handling the economy and bringing jobs back. What do you say to that?
Well, let's start with this. I come from the middle class, and I'll never forget where I come from. My mother worked very hard. She, by the time I was a teenager, was able to save up for our first home.
Can somebody please tell her aides to give her a different script about the economy? I mean, she always goes back to the exact same story every single time. A story that actually doesn't make much sense because she actually doesn't understand the struggles and hardships of Americans. I'm not kidding, guys. I covered this in a previous live stream that I urge you all to watch. The secondhand embarrassment is just way too much to bear. But as always, appreciate you guys being here. Thanks for hitting the like button and subscribing. Watch this video next, and I will see you guys on the next one.